children. Now you can take out your textbook, and we're going to page 64 and 65, the letter part. So this is going to be your homework. You have to write it and send it to teacher Jimmy, okay? So we're going to look at part 2 today. Remember last time you did part 1, and today we're going to do part 2 for homework. So you have to pick one of these to do. So you see number 2 you can pick, number 3, or number 4, but just pick one for you to do. So let's read number 2. Number 2 is a letter that you have to write. Okay, so you're going to say, Dear Ma'am, or Dear Sir, and then you write your letter, you say, Kind regards, Simone. Okay, remember you have to say bye as well. Okay, and let's see what the letter is going to be about. Read this advertisement for a skiing week in Switzerland and notes you have made. Write a reply to the advertisement, including the point mentioned in your notes. Okay, skiing on the snow. So there's a skiing weekend week in Switzerland. So you have to ask questions, right? You want to go on a skiing weekend, and you have to ask questions. So they say all levels of skiing instructions, from beginner when you're just starting, or to advanced when you're really good at it. So doesn't matter if you're just starting to learn how to ski, or if you're very, very good, you can come to the skiing week. Okay, they say it's a chalet accommodation, almost like a small cabin, right? A chalet. You want to ask them if it's a shared room. So you have to ask that. In blue they say, do I share the room with other people, or am I going to stay on my own? Activity weekend, you're going to do something on the weekend, but you don't know what. So you want to ask, like, what are we going to do? What activities are they talking about? Excellent excursion offers. Okay, so it means we're going to go somewhere. So you have to ask, like, where are we going to go, and how much does it cost to do that? Insurance is if you maybe hurt yourself, or maybe something gets stolen, or you have insurance, so they will pay you the money back. And you have to ask, what does it cover? Does it include me falling down and maybe breaking my leg? Will they pay for that? What does it cover? What are they going to pay for, and what are they not going to pay for? Okay? From 480 pounds, flight included. Okay, so you have to ask them, when are we going to go? What are the dates that we're leaving and coming back? And then you also have to tell them that you would like to visit Geneva or Zurich. It's like places probably in Switzerland. And you have to ask if it can be between the 4th and the 18th of January, because maybe you're busy after that. Okay. So that's the letter part that you have to write. Then, so you can write that one, or number 3, you see this announcement in a new English language magazine for young people. They say, stories wanted. So here you're going to write a story. We are looking for stories for our new English language magazine for young people. Your story must begin with this sentence. Suddenly, I heard a noise behind me. So maybe it's a scary story, okay? All you know is that all of a sudden, you heard something behind you, a noise, okay? So we must start with that sentence. That is your first sentence, and you write your story. Can be anything you want, okay? Or it can be number 4. You have seen this announcement in the English language school website. An article wanted, so maybe for a magazine, they want you to write something. Improving our town. That means making our town even better, right? What can we do to make our town better? Give us your suggestions, your ideas, as to how we could improve our town, make it better. The best article will be published in next month's issue. So it will actually be in a magazine next month, okay, if it's good enough. Give suggestions on how you could improve our town, right? You can write here, if you give an idea, say why, right? Say why. Okay. Give a few ideas, say why you think that's true, and give some other information about what our town needs, okay? And you have to write your article. You can choose any one of these, and it has to be 140 words, okay, to 190. Minimum 140, okay? Here they just give you some ideas for the letter. This is just for the letter part, number 1. They tell you kind of how to start it. You say, dear sir or madam. If you don't know who it is that you're writing to, you just say, dear sir or dear madam, okay? For girl, madam, boy, sir. You're gonna say where you saw the ad, your reasons for writing, right? And in your first paragraph. In your second paragraph, ask the information that you need, and tell them what you want as well. You know, between January 18th and something. Okay, so then you list all the things that you want to know, and you can say why. Okay, why do you want to move it to that date? And yeah, okay. Yeah, here they just say, you say dear title and surname, dear Mr. Smith, but if you don't know, you just say dear sir or madam. The first paragraph, you're going to say why you are writing and where you saw it, right? The middle paragraphs explain the details, starting a new paragraph for each main point. So you're going to ask about the accommodation, and then you're going to go to a new point, and you're going to ask about something else, right? All your points can start in a new paragraph, right? So first one you're going to ask, and then the second one, and then the third one. Okay? In the final paragraph, either sum up or say what action you want taken. So you can just say, I really want to go, I'm so excited, please let me know all of these, the information. Okay? And then you say like, yours sincerely, or kind regards, right? Or yours faithfully. That's how you end a letter. It's like a bye, right? In a really fancy way. Okay. Kind regards. Thank you in advance. And then your name. Okay. Here they are giving you some vocabulary that you can use, like where you saw the article. You say, I read your advertisement in the. Go through that, and you can use some of that in your letter. Okay. I'm saying again, you don't have to write the letter. You can pick 1, 2, 3, or 4. Okay. I would write the story. That sounds interesting. Okay. And today we're going to do the listening part. So you can go to page 68. Page 68. Okay. Make sure that you can hear the sound. I'm going to put it loud.
You will hear 5 people talking about leisure time activities. For questions 19 to 23, choose from a list A to H what each speaker has to say on the subject. Use the letters only once. There are 3 extra letters which you do not need to use. You now have 30 seconds to look at part 3.
interested in doing difficult things. That's why I've gone in for extreme sports. I've tried mountain climbing and hang gliding and really enjoyed them both. Quite apart from anything else, I met my boyfriend while hang gliding in the States, which was more than I could have hoped for.
Speaker 2. I've always been good at painting, but I never thought I was good enough to create art that's actually worth selling. But my girlfriend persuaded me to show my paintings at a local exhibition, and I couldn't believe it when they were all sold. I've since been making quite an income from them. Speaker 3.
I became a member at the local swimming centre. I was keen at first, but after a month or so I couldn't be bothered to go. I had to remember to take all sorts of things with me, and it was a long walk there and back, so I switched to using my exercise bike at home. It's much less time consuming, and I can listen to my favourite music at the same time.
Speaker 4. I was jobless and bored, so I joined the local unemployment centre as a volunteer. I love the work and feel as if I'm doing something really important. I may try and get a paid position there in the future. Speaker 5.
I took a year out before university to travel around the world. It's been an invaluable experience, and I've decided to write it all down and publish my own book. My publisher told me there's not much money in it, but I don't mind because I'm not doing it for the money.
Now you'll hear part 3 again. Speaker 1.
I have always been interested in doing difficult things. That's why I've gone in for extreme sports. I've tried mountain climbing and hang gliding and really enjoyed them both. Quite apart from anything else, I met my boyfriend while hang gliding in the States, which was more than I could have hoped for.
Speaker 2. I've always been good at painting, but I never thought I was good enough to create art that's actually worth selling. But my girlfriend persuaded me to show my paintings at a local exhibition, and I couldn't believe it when they were all sold. I've since been making quite an income from them. Speaker 3.
I became a member at the local swimming centre. I was keen at first, but after a month or so I couldn't be bothered to go. I had to remember to take all sorts of things with me, and it was a long walk there and back, so I switched to using my exercise bike at home. It's much less time consuming, and I can listen to my favourite music at the same time.
Speaker 4. I was jobless and bored, so I joined the local unemployment centre as a volunteer. I love the work and feel as if I'm doing something really important. I may try and get a paid position there in the future. Speaker 5.
I took a year out before university to travel around the world. It's been an invaluable experience, and I've decided to write it all down and publish my own book. My publisher told me there's not much money in it, but I don't mind because I'm not doing it for the money.
That's the end of part 3.
Okay, the end of part 3. This guy is Anyway. Okay, so let's look at speaker 1. So, speaker 1 said she likes extreme sports, right? Sports that are kind of like dangerous and you get a thrill. So she said she did hang gliding, right? She did hang gliding. She met her boyfriend, right? Her boyfriend while hang gliding in the States, right? In America. So the one that we're gonna say, number 19, is gonna be D. She met her partner. Her partner is kind of like her boyfriend or someone she like lives with, her partner. Okay, partner is another word you can use for like boyfriend or girlfriend. She's my partner, right? Number 20. Number 20. Oh, number 20, we were talking about an artist, right? And he's like, he didn't think that his paintings would make any money, but then he sold it, right? And he's been making money ever since. So the one we're gonna say, the only one that talks about money and how he sold his art is G. G, that's the only one where they talk about money and how he suddenly started making money, okay? Number 21, okay. This girl said she started swimming, right, at her local swimming pool and she loved it. But after a while, she couldn't be bothered to go. I mean, she didn't want to go anymore, right? Because she had to take all of these things and she had to walk a long time. So she switched to an exercise bike at her home, right? So she switched it. So we're gonna say F. She did something else as a hobby, right? She did swimming and now she's doing the exercise bike. She's riding the exercise bike. So we're gonna say F. Okay, good. Next one. Speaker 4. Ooh. He said he started working at an unemployment center. People that don't have jobs and they're looking for jobs. So he's helping them out. And he says he's not getting paid for it. In the future, he would like to get paid for it. But right now, he's doing volunteer work. So the one that says he's doing volunteer work is B. That one's very easy. Okay. 23. 23. Oh, she said she wants to write her own book. She doesn't care about getting a lot of money, but she wants to write her own book and maybe someday become successful, right? So she says, which one's about a person who writes a book? It's gonna be C, an author. She wants to become a published author. You actually get her book made and sold, right? Good, easy. Let's go to page 69. Page 69. Okay, let's listen at this one.
Now turn to part 4. Test 4, part 4. You will hear a young actor being interviewed on the radio. For questions 24 to 30, choose the best answer, A, B, or C. You now have 1 minute to look at part 4. always wanted to perform. When I was very young, my grandfather, who lived with us, used to play the guitar all day long. I loved listening to him. When he played, I closed my eyes and imagined that I was the one playing for an appreciative audience.
And yet it was hang gliding that was your first love, wasn't it?
That's right. My older cousin Greg used to hang glide, and I often went to watch him. He trained me in secret, but when my mother found out about it, the fires of hell broke loose. I did try to join the local training school, but they told me I needed my parents' consent. So I decided to be an actor in the meantime.
Were your parents very angry with your cousin?
My mother was. She forbade me to ever see him again. But I disobeyed her. Poor lad was feeling very guilty for having got me into so much trouble. But it wasn't really his fault. I'm very stubborn and single-minded. But Greg's been there for me ever since, always supporting me.
And what were your other interests?
Novels and poetry. By the time I was 15, I'd learned hundreds of poems by heart. I've always been very good at remembering words, which is very helpful for an actor.
What's the worst thing about being a successful actor?
Being famous can be quite a pain in the neck, actually. For example, I've always wanted to do yoga, but when I tried to join a class, I was forced to give up very quickly because everyone stared at me. Now you'll hear part 4 again. I've always wanted to perform. When I was very young, my grandfather, who lived with us, used to play the guitar all day long. I loved listening to him. When he played, I closed my eyes and imagined that I was the one playing for an appreciative audience.
And yet it was hang gliding that was your first love, wasn't it?
That's right. My older cousin Greg used to hang glide, and I often went to watch him. He trained me in secret, but when my mother found out about it, the fires of hell broke loose. I did try to join the local training school, but they told me I needed my parents' consent. So I decided to be an actor in the meantime.
Were your parents very angry with your cousin?
My mother was. She forbade me to ever see him again. But I disobeyed her. Poor lad was feeling very guilty for having got me into so much trouble. But it wasn't really his fault. I'm very stubborn and single-minded. But Greg's been there for me ever since, always supporting me.
And what were your other interests?
Novels and poetry. By the time I was 15, I'd learned hundreds of poems by heart. I've always been very good at remembering words, which is very helpful for an actor.
What's the worst thing about being a successful actor?
Being famous can be quite a pain in the neck, actually. For example, I've always wanted to do yoga, but when I tried to join a class, I was forced to give up very quickly because everyone stared at me. That's the end of...
Okay, that's the end of part 4. Okay, this one's a little more difficult. Let's see if you guys have the answer. So, let's look at number 24. The question is, how did Jonathan become so interested in music? How did he become so interested in music? Did someone give him a guitar? No. He never said anyone gave him a guitar. Did his parents tell him, yes, you should do that? No. He never talked about that. The only thing that he said is that he could listen to his grandfather playing the guitar, and he would close his eyes and imagine that he was playing the guitar. So we're gonna say, A, he listened to someone else, his grandfather, playing the guitar. 25. What did his mother think about his interest in extreme sports, dangerous sports? What did she think about it? He said, when I did it in secret and when my mom found out, remember his cousin taught him how to hang glide, right? Which is a little dangerous. And when his mom found out, all hell broke loose, right? The fires of hell broke loose. That means she was so angry. If you use that expression, you're saying that someone's very, very angry. The fires of hell broke loose. Okay? So, it didn't bother her. She's like, whatever. I don't worry. She was against it. She didn't like it. Or she was supportive. She's like, yes, go for it. We're going to say B. He said she was very, 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 very angry. Okay. 26. Why didn't the training school accept him? Remember, after he did the hang gliding thing, he wanted to do a training course on hang gliding, and he couldn't get in. And why not? He said he needed his parents' consent. Means they have to give permission. They have to say, yes, he can do it. So that's why we're going to say C. His parents didn't give consent and to say that, yes, he can do that. Okay. Jonathan's mother forbade him. It means she said, you will not do that. You will not do that. She forbade him to join the hang gliding school, see his cousin again, or go to acting school. Remember, she said the reporter asked him, how did your mom feel towards your cousin? She said, he's like, oh my word, she was so angry. She forbid me to see him ever again, right? So that's what she said. She says, you're never gonna see your cousin again, okay? She was very angry with his cousin for teaching him how to hang glide. 28. His cousin Greg was stubborn and narrow-minded? No. Don't get confused. Remember the young actor talking, he said, I am stubborn and narrow-minded. Not Greg, his cousin, he said, I am. Okay? So not that one. Was always there for him? Yeah. He said, but I did see my cousin, right? Remember, his mom said, no, don't see your cousin. He's like, but I did because shame. He's really supportive and he's always there for me. So it's definitely B. 29. Which ability of Jonathan's is useful for acting? Which ability is useful for acting? Remember, he said, I know 100 poems by heart. By heart means you don't have to read it. You can just stand here and say it like you remember everything, right? By heart. Okay, so the answer that we are looking for is A. He knows it by heart. He doesn't have to read it. He just knows it. He can remember it. And he says that's important if you want to be an actor. Why did he give up the idea of taking yoga? Remember, he said, oh, being famous is kind of like a pain in the neck. It means it's not that fun. It's kind of irritating sometimes, right? Because people know who you are. It's kind of irritating. So why did he give up yoga? He said, everyone keeps staring at me because they know who he is, right? So we say it's gonna be easy one, B. He's too well known. He's too well known. People know who he is. and he had to give it up because people just keep staring, looking at him for a long time. Okay, good, easy. I will give you guys 3 rework art points for this one, and you can take out Charlie and the chocolate factory.